Welcome to the Russian Army Helmet's ballistic test. This test will examine and compare 6 Russian Army helmets ranging from World War II to the modern day. Please keep in mind that there are a lot of transitional Army helmets from the Russian Federation after the Soviets fell, and while I don't have all of them, I've managed to get one helmet from each relevant developmental period. The idea is this will be able to show the development of aramid fiber helmets by showing the difference in hit results, if there is any. It's important to remember that the main purpose of an Army helmet is to stop incoming shrapnel, usually from artillery. Not many military helmets can stop much at close distances beyond pistol rounds. The helmets tested are the following: the SSH40 Soviet steel World War II helmet, the SSH68 Soviet Cold War steel helmet, the SSH68N or 6B14, which is a Russian variant of the 68 steel pot that has been up-armored with internal aramid layers and a new suspension system. Next is the 6B26 lightweight Kevlar helmet as seen in the Crimean annexation, the 6B7M Kevlar helmet, used at around the same time as the 6B26, and finally the 6B47 Ratnik complex helmet that is the most modern helmet in use by the Russian Army. I should note that in the same period as the 6B14, the Russians also used the 6B6 helmet in limited numbers. That helmet is a visorless version of the titanium K6 that was made specifically for the Army. I've conducted a ballistic test on the K6, and that test is the introduction to how these tests work at large. If you haven't seen it, watch it before this video. And now, a word from our sponsor. This video wouldn't have been possible without the help of Commando Store and their Zibby brew. Through long hours of planning, filming, and editing, we all stayed awake and alive thanks to its potent effects. They pack the brew in an unvented bag to keep it fresh and tasty for as long as possible. To maximize flavor and strength, it comes in whole bean form as well. Consider taking it with you on your next operation. Also, consider buying a gondola to keep you company. This is a lot of helmets to get through, so we're going to use a different format compared to the previous videos. Things might go a little quicker than you're used to, so feel free to ask questions after you've watched the entire video. I'll do my best to answer each one of those questions throughout and in the comments. Pay attention, as the helmet tests are not shown in the order that they were shot. The first fact I'd like to get out of the way is that none of the Army helmets survived SS-190 armor piercing out of the 5.7 pistol. The round passed right through the screw of the 6B26. The 6B7M didn't fare much better. These results really shouldn't surprise anyone. The SS-190 round is great against Kevlar. We didn't hit the 6B14 with this round because we instead tried steel core 9mm ammo. This ammo was made in the 1950s and won't fire out of my Glock on the first attempt. However, on the second try, each of these rounds flies at 1300 feet per second and is a decent approximation of the 7.62 steel core Tokarev round used to confirm the Russian Gauss-2 armor class. Commando Store helped me with the chronograph on this one.
Oh, fuck!
We hit the 6B14 with this round and it penetrated. It also went through the most modern Ratnik 6B47 helmet, conclusively showing that none of these helmets are Gauss-2. The round also embedded itself in the inside of the 6B47 helmet after it went through. Perhaps what would be more telling about the margin of protection offered by these sub-Gauss-2 helmets is the deformation testing. To that end, let's try 357 Magnum. Most of these helmets stop 357 hits out of our 4-inch GP100 barrel, with the exception of one. The SSH68 Cold War steel pot interestingly failed a hit to the rear of the helmet, while the other SSH40 World War II helmet shrugged off the Magnum round to the side with no problem. This has interesting implications, and the event drove me to research further. Supposedly the 68 has stronger protection in the front of the helmet than in the rear where I hit it. I didn't have the 357 anymore, so I conducted a follow-up test with the +P hollow point 45 ACP round out of my 1911. While this round is 30 grains heavier than the 357, it has a slightly lower velocity and supposedly lower energy. I also should probably mention this isn't actually my 1911, it's my dad's, so thank you very much, Dad. Unfortunately, that weight must make a bigger difference than I thought, as the round passed through the front and back of the helmet. While the 68 did stop an ordinary 9mm hit, it was the weakest performing of the bunch for allowing for these penetrations, and this seems fairly consistent with other online testing I've seen with this helmet. The 68 is a bizarre downgrade in protection from the World War II SSH40 helmet. We also hit the 6B14 with this more punchy 45 round. The extra air mid proves its worth as it deflected the shot away. The price to pay for this performance is the weight. At 4.5 pounds, this helmet is much heavier than the others, but that investment leaves no more deformation on the inside of this helmet from the impact. Speaking of deformation, the other helmets showed various degrees of it from the 357 hit, and that deformation is pretty much universally unacceptable from all of the Kevlar helmets. The 6B26 is hopeless and would kill the user under the stress. The 6B7M isn't much better, with an equally ugly deformation. All of these helmets have internal bolts for a rope liner and no foam pads to protect from this kind of cave-in. In the 6B47's case, some of the internal bolts have detached from impact, suggesting that they may have struck the head of the user, though that's only speculation. The 6B47's deformation is the most minor of the bunch, suggesting some advancement in materials, but the deformation is still completely unacceptable and would seriously hurt the user. The saving grace is that all of these helmets can at least withstand standard lead 9x19mm rounds with no penetration or serious deformation. But so can the SSH40, leaving your only advantage to these helmets being a weight reduction. Frankly, I'm disappointed. Before we wrap up, I would just like to thank Commander Store again for their help in acquiring a lot of these helmets, as well as the Gondola to keep us company, and the Zippy Brew to help us keep awake as we filmed. Give it a try if you're a fan of coffee, chocolate, or just like staying awake. When you really look at the results, what's striking is that the most modern helmet in use by the Russian army serves to give no more added protection than their World War II SSH40 steel pot. The Ratnik helmet is clearly significantly weaker than their American and European counterparts, even when it was first introduced. Some protection is much better than none, especially from shrapnel, and in the end, it's really up to the Russian government to decide if this weaker margin of protection matters in the grand scheme of things. Personally, I think they've chosen a weaker path. I know the Russians can do better. Is this how much they think the life of a Russian soldier is really worth?